Oledepo and the rest of them parading themselves as your, they don't bond them well. I don't understand. They don't bond them well to talk about it or what? Or they never heard about it at all. I don't understand. I don't. This religious persecution being championed, being pushed by this Fulani oligarch in that contraption. Are your pastors not aware? No? Listen to this.
Barrister Emmanuel and I have been working for a number of years here in Nigeria on human rights issues, and this is a sad day, Charles, for human rights in Nigeria. Sunday Jackson, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm a human rights advocate. Sunday Jackson, by anyone's estimation, is totally innocent. And the issue where this man was out farming, minding his own business, and then the attacker came and a struggle ensued. And of course, this man is going to defend himself. That's why we call it self-defense. And yet today, we were at the Nigerian Supreme Court, and it was very brief. It was only about maybe 2 minutes long. And we just wept at the failure of the Nigerian Supreme Court to say that this man, and they had the opportunity to say this man was totally innocent. We haven't seen all the ins and outs of the decision, but we had the opportunity to meet this humble farmer, this young man who unfortunately his wife abandoned him, had been on death row for 10 years. So Sunday Jackson has now become an international case for human rights.
Yes,
and
because
so we're going to continue to advocate.
I was going to ask you what are the international dimensions of this case?
Well, the international dimensions are Open Doors, which is a human rights organization, has recounted that there have been thousands of killings of Christians by Fulanis. And so as a human rights advocate and as a pastor, I'm here to advocate for this man who is totally innocent. So it has international implications. The eyes of human rights advocates are now on Nigeria. Like, how could this happen? How could this possibly happen? By anyone's estimation, as Barrister said earlier, manslaughter at least, because murder one that he's being convicted of and may face hanging if we can't get clemency for him, it has to be premeditated. So what justice on the Nigerian Supreme Court, that didn't pop up and say to him or her, this is a case of self-defense and this man is totally innocent. So we encourage people to continue to pray for Sunday Jackson and his innocence.
Yes, so this is really a sad day, I think, for Nigerians and their rights to self-defense. Nigerians already have to provide their own security, electricity, infrastructure, and now they can't even defend themselves without being sentenced to death. And I think all of us should be very alarmed by this very unfortunate precedent. In February of 2021, we read in the news about Jackson's death sentence just as we're coming into Nigeria. So we flew to Yola and I met with his counsel. He was so poor that it was legal aid counsel that helped him. And so I looked through a copy of the judgment, and on the spot, in that initial review, I saw that there was a 167-day lapse between the close of arguments and the judgment. Now, our Constitution specifically says it has to be within 90 days. Now, the legal aid counsel hadn't even found it. That shows you the quality of representation that he had or lack thereof. So Mr. Jackson has been failed at every possible level by the system. And but
couldn't you adduce that argument at the Supreme Court?
Well, so here's the thing. So I was initially working with the legal aid counsel to prepare an appeal. I traveled back to the US. When I came back, his counsel had changed. And so a group that I'm affiliated with had taken over, and I knew the chap with that. So I reached out to him and drew his attention to this fact. And he also had marshaled other facts and, threw them all in. But the sad thing is, despite everything, and the case is so clear because this man retrieved the knife of his attacker. So it wasn't his own knife. But one thing that really stands out to me is, I was talking to my dentist today about this, and a dentist said to me, what happened to the charge of manslaughter? Because at the very worst, if he had to be charged with something, it would be manslaughter. He did not know that charge before that day. He couldn't have premeditated this. And I believe that this is one of those cases that when it was brought by the police to the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP's advice should have killed this case. This man has no case to answer. And now he's sentenced to death. He's exhausted all legal channels and is awaiting.
You get that? If you want to charge somebody for murder one, that is a first-degree murder, there must be motive. It must be premeditated, right? Say, okay, I am going to unalive somebody, kill someone, like that. So there must be something, right? That must have prompted me. So this Mr. Jackson never met his attacker until that fateful day when the attacker came for him. So the PPP in Adamawa, in Yola, it took them 167 days before they brought the charges against him. And you can easily tell the life of a Fulani is in that contraption by the system is more valuable than the life of an average Nigerian. Those of you who are one Nigerianist. And like that man said, you have to provide your own electricity, provide your own water, provide your own housing, provide your own security, provide your own health care, provide the education for your children. And in all of this, you don't even have any right to defend yourself. So in the office of the PPP, public prosecution, whatever, I think that's what they are called, right? Where you are supposed to have lawyers. None of them felt like, man, the most we can charge this guy for would be manslaughter. And manslaughter means it was not premeditated because it wasn't. But they charged him straight up with first-degree murder. Went through the High Court, the Appeal Court, and also to the Supreme Court that now give a verdict that he should be sentenced to death. Is sentenced to death. And except, like that pastor said, the American pastor, except he gets clemency, except that means he gets a presidential pardon. Or maybe governor's pardon, I don't know. Except he gets clemency from God knows where. This man will be killed. Don't forget, he's been in detention, he's been in prison for nearly 10 years now for defending himself. So what the Nigerian law is saying, or their criminal system is saying, is that he should have allowed himself to be killed that day. Now, since he failed to allow himself to be killed that day, they will just have to do it now for him. Another alternative for him was to run away. How do you run away when somebody is charged at you with a knife? Oh, how do you think? I mean, how long do you think you can run? Or you stay to defend yourself? Self-defense, a universally acknowledged right of everyone. I can defend myself. I have the right to defend myself. If my life is in danger, in the hands of another man, I have the right to defend myself. I do. And this guy has no case at all. The prosecution, whatever, I mean, the PPP, whatever, they are the ones that were supposed to actually like cut it up. But you all know why they had to go all hog and demand for the killing of this man. How can I be guilty of murder when somebody came into my own house to kill me? And then I had to use his own weapon to kill him. How can that be murder? Well, we know why. Nigeria is not a real place. You remember that. It is not real. Now, you might kind of have this sentiment when Bokwari was there and say it was because Bokwari. Yeah. Well, you now have a supposed Yoruba man, allegedly, because I don't even think this guy is a Yoruba, by the way, but yeah, allegedly. Tifnumbu, a Yoruba man, is now your president. Or somehow, it's like the Fulani terrorists are now fully back, and the Ronukus are willing and ready to even defend the murderers, the terrorists as well. Because to them, if you mention terrorists, if you mention these Fulani terrorists, right, to them, you are trying to tarnish the image of Bokwari. Tifnumbu. Here is another representative member. Her name is Akonde Sadipe. Right? Olulope. He represents the people of Oluyole Federal Constituency, where they had this, Ogumaki Gambari, reserve. It's like a farm settlement. And we all know that the Fulani terrorists have taken over some of the forests across the southern part of Nigeria, by the way. They have built their own different camps. And you see, these forests that we are talking about, they are not unoccupied. The forests are farms of people. When they tell you that the Fulani terrorists are taking over farms, they are taking over forests, There is no forest. They are people's farms. They are people's lands. When you look at lands and you feel like these lands are unoccupied, unused, are you mad? They are owned by people. There's no free land anywhere. When I was in Odogbolu and we used to go to the farm, we had to travel kilometers of road before we get to our farm. At least, without exaggerating, I used to actually like a trek over 60, 70 kilometers to go to farms in my hometown. Deep down into the jungle, inside there. Like you have to get yourself a bike, get yourself a bicycle, or get yourself a car. There is no free land anywhere. If Fulanis claim to occupy forests, don't get it wrong. These forests, inside, there are villages there. There are small towns there. They have to travel into the jungle there to farm on their land, ancestral land, as indigenous people of those places. So if anybody wants to own land, then you buy it. You don't just trek thousands of kilometers or over 1,500 kilometers and trek into people's territory and then just, we are taking this place. That's not how it works. It's not. So all the game reserve, if you go to this this place that this honorable woman is now reporting from, the Ogumaki Gambari Reserve. These were supposed to be the farm settlement, farm reserve. Some of them were established by Obafemi Awolowo, where portions of land were given to people, right? I'm talking about hectares of land were given to people by government. This farm settlement, these reserves have now been occupied by these Fulani terrorists with heavy ammunition. People have nowhere to run to. They have no one to cry to. And their victims are Yorubas. They are Igbos. So even if you are a one Nigerianist, even if you are somebody that has been so brainwashed that you have become so brain dead, if you come across a video like this, it is to kind of like rejuvenate you, probably bring you back to life and let you understand the kind of danger you are in. Your gullibility will not save you. The day they will come for you, or come for people you love too. Your gullibility will not save you. To those of you Abrodian Ronukus, Abrodian Buhari idiots, bad stats, Abrodian Efulefu, right? The Igbo bad stats that will sell their brother for peanuts as long as you can kind of like give them any bit of comfort whatsoever. You have families in that place. You do. And they are the potential victims of all of this. They are the potential victims. We've had people living abroad. We have people in this diaspora that have had to send money, Guess what? No money for project, no money for house project, or money for a business, or money for ransom, because their family, their loved ones were kidnapped by Fulani terrorists in their own land, not in far away. Nobody say they travel go Niger Republic, in their own domain, community. The danger is lurking around them, just around there. So this woman raised the alarm on the floor of their Senate. I'm sorry, on the floor of their House of Representatives yesterday, where she's now calling on the authority. I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened to the Amotekun? Because the Amotekun seems to be stronger in Oyo State, in my own opinion, even though they kind of all remain paper tigers that can only roar. Wow. But they can never bite. And we know why. So from the east to the west to the creek of Niger Delta, these Fulani terrorists are wreaking havoc. They are destroying the livelihood of the local people there. And some of you living in the city, you want to pretend that it's none of your business. Okay, those of you living in the city, Ihite, those guys who are traveling from Imo State, right? That Ihite road. Some of them were on their way to Onitsha. Some of them on their way to Lagos, where like everything happening in all these communities is none of your business until it becomes your business. When you yourself run into these terrorists, that you have to kind of begin to evaluate your life and say, oh, hey, my life just flashed through my eyes just now. I saw this, until you've witnessed it. Some of you, you act dumb. And then loud, stupid and loud. I've seen that many times. I've seen that many years now. Stupid Nigerians and loud. Very loud and very stupid as well. Nnamdi Kanu won't rub your head. He won't sing lullaby for you. He will look you straight into your eyes and tell you the truth that will likely not make you comfortable. And why are you going to be comfortable anyway? There is no comfort in any of this. We are all in danger. And since the Nigerian, the Nigerian Shege is turn by turn, Nigeria Limited. So those who are victims of yesterday, right? And those who are survivors of yesterday, they are the potential victims of today. Those who survive today, they are the potential victims of tomorrow. And every day, everyone is getting his own share. Not many of us have the privilege of living to tell the story. Not many of us. So if a Yoruba man is your press idiot, and the Yorubas are being kidnapped, ransom being paid, tortured, so who else are we now going to have to go and blame? I'm just asking. Terrorists will kidnap people, demand 100 million, demand tricycle, 5 tricycle, 10, Okadas. And they will get some of this stuff, and nobody is going to go after them. Nobody. And when you begin to try to want to hold them responsible, they will begin to attack you based on the tribe or ethnic. I don't know if some of you have noticed. If you look around today, when the Tifnumbu, the Ronu Kus, especially the Ronu Nazis, the sewage dwellers, and then those, article wearing mofos goes on TV, rather than talk about all these shortcomings, talk about sympathize with the victims and possibly chart a way forward, as they are those people in charge of the contraption right now. They will turn it around and then they begin to abuse and attack Peter Obi. Have you noticed that? It's like they generally commission their thing. When you want to try to hold them, call them out, on their responsibility or their irresponsibility, irresponsible ways, they will automatically turn it into Igbo Yoruba, Igbo Yoruba. Have you not noticed that? It's all deliberate. Read this screen on your screen. Their propaganda war is on, and the attack lines are clear. If I am lying, you can tell me it is not true. Because Peter Obi contested election, Abi, with Tifnumbu. INEC said Peter Obi lost, Abi. So Tifnumbu won. Now Tifnumbu is your press idiot. Okay?